All right. I'm here, Matthew Lyda, with my friend and mentor, Ashley Weil, who I found out about through holotropic breathing, which is something we'll be talking about today. I've had the privilege of breathing and doing this holotropic practice with Ashley and her husband Chuck, maybe four, 4 or 5 times in over the course of 2 or 3 years. And there's no way I could say this, right, that would give justice to it. I would just say it has made a tremendous impact on me in my life in the last 2 or 3 years. It has shifted things in me, moved things in me uh, that all my practices beforehand had not. And so I really believe in the power of this work. And so I wanted to introduce Ashley to all of you who are watching and anyone who may be curious about holotropic breathing. And so here we are. Ashley, anything you want to say to get us started?
Thank you, Matthew. I'm really glad to be here with you today. I would say that holotropic breathwork did that same thing for me. It touched me in some way that my previous practices had never touched, which is why I'm still doing it. I first met the holotropic breathwork in 1995, and I knew from that first session that I wanted to facilitate this work. And here it is, 31 years later, and I'm still active. And every time we host a group or every time we offer breath work to an individual or a couple, I'm still just in awe of this work. And the thing that I'm most in awe of is the empowerment of this work. That the key principle of holotropic breath work is that each of us has an inner healing mechanism, but that through the generations, especially when industry came into the world, and then as we've moved into this post-industrial society, there's been something about our way of life that somehow took our focus away from that healer within, because our lives are so structured in ways that it requires our wonderful egoic minds to keep our days organized, to make our plans, to do our work, to show up on time, to raise our children, to build our lives, that we forget to leave space in it for this other amazing aspect of ourselves, and that is the inner healing mechanism.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what's so exciting about it, is that a lot of people are afraid with different kinds of work that they'll be disempowered, that the facilitator, that the leader is somehow going to be directing them, and what if they can't trust them, what if it's not a good situation. And that's the beauty of this work, is that Chuck and I and any other facilitators, we're just that. We're facilitators. We hold space. We are present. We encourage. We witness. But what comes up for you is brought up entirely from within you by your inner healer, and you are absolutely the author of your experience.
Mm-hmm. So as you're talking about the inner healer and what can happen as we're in these settings, I'm reminded of what brought the season that brought me to reach out to you and Chuck.
Mhm.
I've had a robust spiritual practice, embodied practice for a while of meditation, journaling, nature wanders, a, a very committed exercise routine, healthy eating. I mean, there's a lot. Reading spiritual books. I could move my camera to show you my library of
Uh,
books here. I could go on about what I've kind of done in terms of my wholeness over the years, and yet there was a point in my life where I still do all those things. By the way, I still practice all those, but
Good.
I knew that they alone were not going to carry me through some of the stuff I needed to work through. I've also done therapy. I have a spiritual director. I knew that, and I want to try to get the words here. I knew that I needed something, and it feels like a paradox with what you're saying about the inner healer, but that I would not be in control, or maybe my ego would not
Right.
be in control. Like I needed um, like a practice that would get to these different parts of my wounds or life that maybe all those other practices had helped address, but we're not going to carry me across the finish line. I guess I know it's not a finish line, but you see what I'm saying.
Yes.
And so I came in with this prayer, like I don't know how to get to all this, but I'm trusting, like as I let go, um, that yeah, the inner healer and this practice will address different parts of my body, um, and it's probably it's probably because I've over the years I've grown more open to the idea of different ways of knowing. Like
Mhm.
in my early years, I thought this was the one way of knowing, the logical, the thinking mind, which is one way, but there's also the sensing and the emotional and then the imagination.
And the imagination. Yeah.
Yeah. So uh I guess what I'm saying is that it's been my experience that holotropic breathing kind of got around maybe some of my defenses that I didn't even know I had up, right? I mean, I've done so much work, but it's like somehow attending to the breath with the music, set and setting. It's almost like it was able to like move around or go under or above. Can you say more or, about this?
I think you're describing it really aptly, Matthew. And so what it is you were striving, you were doing so many things. And in the breath work, it's almost like you have to stop doing and you surrender. But the thing that's key is that you're not surrendering to me. You're not surrendering to an outer authority. It's like you just lay down all the trying to make something happen and simply
Mhm,
attend to your breath, be with the music, be in a state of openness, of curiosity, and see whatever comes. And then it surprises you
mhm,
and it amazes you and it transforms you.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
surrender is a scary word, Matthew, because
It
in
is.
the idea of surrender, we think that someone else is, we're going to be vulnerable. And most of us are really careful about how we choose to be vulnerable. But the beauty of this work is that truly the vulnerability is with yourself,
Mhm,
that there's no one in the room who's going to try to say you have to do this or you must think this or anything like that. It's just it's just it's you allowing a part of yourself to come forward that you didn't have a lot of experience with. And then as you gained more and more experience with this inner healer, I bet now that when you're reading your spiritual books or when you're playing in nature or when you're doing something imaginal with the children, you have an awareness of the inner healer being with you that you didn't have before.
mhm. Yeah. Yeah. These encounters is how I describe them. They have truly fed me for the last, 2 or 3 years, where I continue to come back to some of
Mhm.
these um, images
Yeah.
or stories that have come, through me and during the holotropic breathing. And
Mhm.
so,
Yeah.
a lot of thanks to you, to Chuck, to Stanislav Grof, which we'll get into later. But yeah, so thank you so much, Ashley, for this
Sure.
introductory talk about holotropic breathing.
Sure.